So variables. So variables. Variables are perhaps the most important thing you'll learn about programming. Variables are names that you give to specific memory locations that you want to store for your program. Variables are essentially the names that you give these memory spaces that you reserve for specific values. Variables are essentially names that you reserve for specific values. Variables are names that you give to a memory location to reserve specific values for your program. Yeah, that doesn't really sound like it makes much sense right now, but it will. So say you wanted to store someone's age in a program. The name you would give your variable is age, and the specific value you'd want to store would probably be a number, like an integer, so like 18. And the memory location is dealt with by Python. You don't need to worry about that. So, how to declare a variable in Python? So in Python, creating or declaring a variable is much easier than in most other programming languages. Majority of languages require that you declare the data type of the variable, but in Python you simply just need the variable name and the data you're storing it in Python. But in Python you simply just need to pick a name and assign a value to it. You can make your name you can make the variable's name pretty much anything you want, but there are some. You can make the name of the variable anything you want, but there are some limits. You can make your variable name pretty much anything you want, but there are some rules and conventions you should follow. The variable name can only start with a letter or an underscore, never a number. You can only use alphanumeric characters and underscores, so no @ symbols or quotation marks, because that'll interfere with other things. And remember that variable names are case sensitive, so a variable age with a capital A will be seen as differently by Python than a variable with a lowercase a. There's several different conventions which people use to name variables. Different opinions on which are the best to use. In this tutorial, we mainly use something called camel case. Now, camel case has 3 main attributes to it. First of all, the variable names are 1 or more words with no spaces in between. You differentiate the words from each other by capitalizing the first letter of every word except for the first one. Though some people tend to ignore this and still use capitals for the first word, but for some reason to me it just looks weird. But you can do whatever you want, really. There are other conventions like Pascal case and the snake case, which is just everything in lower cases separated with underscores. And they all just apply different rules to variable names. So let's start by creating our first variable together in Python. So let's start by creating our first variable in Python. So let's start by creating a new variable. So let's start by opening a new Python file and saving it as something like my first variable.py. I mean, you can name it whatever you want. Let's start the line. Okay, so to start, let's choose a variable name. We're gonna use the name. Yeah, we're gonna use the variable my name, written in capital cases. We'll have a lowercase m but an uppercase n. Then we'll use an equal sign to show that we're assigning a value to that variable name. And then on the other side of the and on the right side of the equal sign, we're gonna put in quotation marks our name. Like for me, it's Toby. Feel free to use your own name. If your name's also Toby, good name. So equals is something we call an assignment operator. That basically just means whatever's on the right side is being assigned to the memory space on the left. And because Python's clever, it knows that we're giving it a string, so it knows that the variable is a string. Now on the next line, we're going to enter a print statement. In the parentheses, instead of putting a text string that we normally have, we're just going to put our variable name. So my name. Now if we run it, what we should get is the variable returned. Since the print statement So what the print statement does is take the variable my name what the print statement does is take the variable my name as an assignment, and then looks up what my name is in the memory of the program, and then the print function looks up, and then Python looks up the value of my name. So in this case, for me, the value is Toby. So that's what's passed to the function, and that's why it prints out Toby. So now we're going to go back in our program, and inside the print statement, we're going to add some. So now we're going to go back into the program and add something else into our print statement. Print statements allow you to pass more than just one argument, as long as they're separated by plus symbols. So here we're going to have my name plus, and then in quotation marks is really great. And then if we run that, we get a combination of the value assigned to the variable my name plus the text we gave the print statement, like so. One of the most useful features of variables is allowing you to store information that's been entered by the user. This means you can have people, like yourself, interact with your program, and then have the program give you different results based on what you put in. So if we edit the first line of our file, so instead of having an explicit string of our names as the value assigned to my name, we're going to use a new keyword called input, open brackets, quotation marks, enter your name, and then close that. Now, we're keeping the same variable name as last time, so the variable is my name still, but instead of assigning it a value, all we're doing is passing it But instead of assigning it a value, we're getting a value from the input function, which gets its value from the user. So when we use all the text we put into the input function prints that text back out and waits for a response. So in the shell, so if we run this, the shell is gonna. So if we run this, it will print enter your name. So the shell waits for the user to enter. So the shell waits for the user to respond to the question, and it takes whatever's input as an argument and then passes that to the variable. So if I enter Toby, hit enter, then we get Toby is really great. Yeah, remember that the text that's inside the input function you could change to anything, as it has no impact on the data gathered. It's just what's output to the shell, so it's left the user to gauge what they need to enter. Alright, thanks. If you had any problems with the tutorial, then thanks for the... Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks for checking in this tutorial, and see you in the next one.